Okay, it's recording. So, Earful Tower listeners and viewers, welcome to the first ever Earful Tower live show. Okay, alright. So, looking around, I just want to say, firstly, a huge thank you. I'm really thrilled. It's just awesome to look around. I'm seeing some friends who have come to support. I'm seeing some past guests on the show, which is really awesome. I'm seeing some listeners who I've met for the first time tonight. Thanks for coming. I'm trying to make eye contact with all of you guys as I do it. And I'm also seeing some plus ones who have maybe been dragged along, who maybe won a ticket, who maybe don't even know what this show is and have no idea what they're in for tonight. And they've got a bit of a confused look on their face. For those people, don't worry. I feel exactly like you feel right now. But we're going to get through this. It's going to be awesome. So, the first guest is standing next to me now. Before I welcome him to the stage, I'll do a little intro like I usually do. His name's John Baxter. He's an author. He's just got a new book out and lots of other books up here by my shoulder. But John and I have a few things in common. We're both Australians. Woo! He's Australian. Yeah, there's a few other Australians here tonight. We're both storytellers in a way. I'm in my 30s. He was born in the 30s. There's one thing that divides us though, and that's the Seine River. He's a left bank man. I'm a right bank man. But he's going to come explain his new book all about Montparnasse. So please give him a hand. Now I'm going to do something I don't usually do. We usually have a big clock in the studio. I want to keep this exactly to the same kind of time constraint. So I'm actually going to put a timer on for 15 minutes. And when that goes off, we start the quick fire round. Now, John, you've been on the show before. You know how it works.
I do, and I have, yes.
How are you feeling?
Terribly nervous, of
Really?
course, in the presence of your international audience.
Oh, yes. Hello to the audience. Can we say a big bonsoir to the audience on the count of three? Okay. Everyone say bonsoir so they know that there's a crowd here. 1, 2, 3.
Bonsoir!
Now, some of these guys back home are also in the draw to win prizes. We're going to start with the first prize, which is your new book, John. I want you to draw it. So someone in the room might win or someone at home.
Drum roll!
Right, okay. Here is the name. It is in somebody's terrible handwriting. Kieran in Australia.
Okay, someone at home. That's lovely.
Kieran, well done, Kieran. I hope you enjoy it.
That's lovely.
I will inscribe it personally to you.
Okay. That's very kind. So let's talk about the book. I've got one here. It's called Montparnasse, Paris' District of Memory and Desire. Now, some people like me who maybe don't know Paris so well would say Montparnasse, that's just a train station.
No, definitely not.
What's your reaction?
I would say, no, you should spend more time there. It's an extraordinary area, not just because Ernest Hemingway wrote about it and talked about the cafes. It's filled with all sorts of references, all sorts of connections with the painters, with Gauguin and people like that, with playwrights like Strindberg, with Grand Horizontal like Kiki of Montparnasse. It's full of exciting and interesting connections.
These are the characters in your book.
Yes, they are.
So maybe we can give a little taste of what's in the book by sort of revealing one of the characters that you've written about. And we can swivel too, so we can talk to everyone if you feel
Right, okay.
It's a feature of these chairs.
Right, no, I see that.
Yeah.
I see that. Well, of course, Kiki, Alice Pran, who was known as Kiki of Montparnasse, one of my favourite people. She was, of course, the lover of the American surrealist Man Ray. I love the fact that they met in a cafe when the cafe owner tried to throw Kiki and her friend out because they were not wearing hats. Women in those days had to wear a hat, otherwise they were identifying themselves as prostitutes. And he tried to throw them out, so Man Ray said, let me take you to the movies. And he took her to an Erich von Stroheim movie, and in the movie he clutched her hand and felt her clutch his hand as well. And so this wonderful love affair was launched. Really a beautiful story.
And Man Ray's also another character. I've read the book.
Right, yes. So you know Man Ray is, in fact, a very important character. Also, of course, I met his models. I met his last model who gave me some stories about...
how old would his last model be?
Oh, she was then in her 80s. So when I say she was quite old, I think, well, she's just about my age now.
Wow.
but she was as lively as I am. And she was full of stories. She told me all about how he would do pornography by order. People would come in and say, I'd like some pictures of a couple of good-looking girls doing this and that, and he'd say, okay, fine, I'll have them by next week.
It's quite an erotic book you've written.
It is. There's a lot of sex in it.
There's a lot of nudity in it as well.
No, there is some nudity, yes. Well, this was because there was sex and nudity in Montparnasse. I hope I haven't destroyed you.
No, but what I was thinking...
Just because it is an immovable feast doesn't mean to say that it didn't happen.
What I was thinking to ask, though, is how you think Paris and Montparnasse might have changed, firstly, in terms of like the expat scene, because these are a lot of Americans and August Strindberg's a Swede and all these kind of people that were there. But also, is it still the same kind of titillating, erotic scene as it was back in the glory days?
Well, yeah, it always was. It was always more a dream than reality. There were not many working writers in Montparnasse because if you're in the cafe, I mean, how can you work? People are coming in and out all the time. You chat and so on. I mean, Hemingway was rare in that he worked in a very quiet cafe, the Closerie des Lilas. But almost everybody else was in the cafes. They were there for fun. So are the people who go there now. They're there for fun.
What do you think about the people nowadays that sit in cafes all day working on the laptop?
Oh, well, that's the odd thing, that in fact those sorts of cafes are more like the cafes of the 20s than the cafes that we imagine. Because, yes, people take over a whole table and work all day, but they don't write. They write letters. They go online.
Are we talking about today?
Yeah, today. Yeah, I mean, they no more did the people of the 20s write either. They were sitting there. They were writing letters. They were reading. They weren't writing any literature. I mean, where is the literature of Montparnasse? There's Movable Feast. There's John Glasgow's Memoirs of Montparnasse. After that, zilch.
No, there's Paris's District of Memory and Desire.
I wrote that. I'm talking about the 20s. I've written more than Hemingway has about
There's the quote. Some would say he would be turning in his grave, which leads me to the Montparnasse Cemetery.
Right. I won't pick a word against the Cemetery of Montparnasse. I think it's an extraordinary place.
That's what I wanted to ask you. I wanted to say because a lot of people, that's the ghost of the set in Paris, did you hear that? A lot of people would say that you want a cemetery, go to the Père Lachaise.
No. I think the Montparnasse Cemetery is far more interesting. You've got people like Beckett, you've got Man Ray, you've got Kiki of Montparnasse. I went there with a friend who wanted to call on, I forget her name, Susan Sontag, who's buried in Paris, in Montparnasse. She was a friend. He wanted to go there and visit her, and so I described that in the book, and it was a wonderful moment. You know, one really felt one was somehow visiting a friend. We were walking along, and we were saying, oh, I met him, and oh, this is so-and-so's. It really was like going to a cocktail party where everyone else was dead.
That sounds like an interesting cocktail party.
Well, at least you can get to talk.
Nobody's
interrupting you.
So tell me, I've never been to that cemetery, and this show, for anyone if anyone's got no idea about the Eiffel Tower, this is about figuring out France, figuring out Paris. What? In fact, show of hands, who's been to the? Give me a cheer if you've been to the cemetery in Montparnasse.
Yeah.
So that's a few of us who've been there.
Well,
so tell me, like visually, is that also a kind of a nice place to be hanging about?
Well, it's easy to get around than La Père Lachaise or Montmartre because it's flat, it's well organised, it has lovely little. It's really like a park. And at the door, they give you a plan showing you where all the main celebrities are buried. I think it's splendid. It really is like a party. All these great people, and their monuments are very often quite elaborate and extravagant. You know, there are actually two to Baudelaire, which are very smart. There's the wonderful one to a woman aviator, where she's shown in her helmet with her plane and so on. No, I love the fact that it's familiar, it's friendly. You really feel you are among friends there, even if they are dead.
Okay. Older friends.
Oh well, some died young.
I wanted to ask you, like that thing I touched on before about expats. What do you think of the expat scene? Like you're an Australian. You've been here since 1989, 89?
89.
Which is a lot longer than many of us other expats in this room, I would wager. But how do you think it compares today? Is it still that kind of hub for people to be coming and doing artistic stuff like they were back in the days?
No, not really, because it's so expensive. Back then, the draw of Paris was that it was so cheap. You could get a 4-course meal with wine for the equivalent of 18 cents. So, I mean, how attractive is that? Today, what would you get for 18 cents? You know, wouldn't even get a cup of coffee. So most people can't afford to live here.
Yeah.
Those who can, you know, take advantage of it, and they love it. But if you want to live cheaply, you go and live in Oatmeal, Nebraska, don't you? There's no point coming to Paris. If they could, of course, they would benefit as we have from what Paris has to offer, which hasn't changed.
Yeah.
It's still the most beautiful, the most exciting, the most romantic, and I have to say the most erotic city in the world. So, you know, that would be wonderful to access, and those of us who do, we get a huge amount from it, but the money problem is a barrier.
What drew you to Paris?
Women, a woman particularly. I married a French woman, and suddenly, as they say, you can take Paris out of the woman, you can't take the woman out of Paris, but not Paris out of the woman. I found myself living here when I would much rather have lived in Los Angeles, but somehow she wasn't attracted to the blandishments of LA. She insisted on coming back to Paris, so here I am.
What about Montparnasse? Let's say you're a tourist here and you've just got, you want to go and check it out, but you don't know where to begin. Let's say you got one afternoon that you can dedicate to the area. Where are we going?
Well, you have to go to one of the cafes. I would suggest not the Dome or the Rotonde, despite the fact that President Macron has now given the Rotonde his seal of approval by holding his victory party there. I would say the Select, because it's the closest to the old-fashioned style of cafe. The waiters remain very rude. The food is quite good. The coffee is disgusting, but it has that ambience.
Where is this though? I've never
It's
been.
directly opposite the Coupole, but yes, hardly anybody.
I don't even know where the Coupole is.
Oh, come on! Of course you do.
I rarely venture to this side of the...
let this be a good time to start.
This is the whole point of the show,
Well,
is that we
there
figure
you are.
new things.
Read the book, and you'll see there is even a map.
No.
Make it easier for you.
But no, I did read the book, and they're the 4 cafes that
They're
are
the four:
in the square.
the Dome, the Rotonde, the Coupole, and the Select. And the Select is the most authentic, I suppose. And then I would say go and call on somebody in the cemetery. It's very easy to do. Go and see Samuel Beckett. Put a stone on his grave. Though I've noticed, because Montparnasse is a district, as I say, of memory and desire. It's all about people arriving and leaving. People now put a metro ticket on the grave, which I think is a nice touch. Then go across to the site of the Sphinx, which was the famous brothel of the 30s, for which Henry Miller used to write the publicity material. And then I would say go and have a nice cheap meal at one of the smaller cafes, the smaller restaurants. Probably the Chivary, which has the 5th best tartare in Paris.
According to your daughter.
According to my daughter, and I
Read
tried
the book,
it.
read the book.
It is excellent. And then, I mean, that's a pretty good morning.
Yeah. And do they do, do they do good coffees on that side there?
They do. That's the painters' side. The south side is where all the writers used to hang out. But the northern side, on the downhill side, that's where all the artists used to hang out. And so the quality of the coffee and the alcohol is much better than on the other side.
Where do you hang out, John?
Oh, I like the Coupole because of its historical associations. I spend many happy hours there. The book begins with me sitting in the Coupole, reminiscing about the great days of the Coupole. Right. No, it's huge, it's vulgar, it's overdone, but there it is. It's like the Eiffel Tower. You can't ignore it.
Do you ever go up the Eiffel Tower?
I've been up the Eiffel Tower. Once is enough, I think.
Like a lot of people that live here will say that they kind of take pride in not going up that.
When I lived in London, I never went to the Tower of London, and I never saw the changing of the guard. But here, I felt well, actually, my wife took me. I have to say, it was part of the deal. I had to go up the Eiffel Tower. I had to do all of the Paris things. Sure. So I did.
And what about? I just checked my watch. I know time's running low. But what about your next book?
I'm writing a book at the moment. It's called The Year in Paris, and it's about the weather. of all things. It's about the way in which the climate and the weather affect everything we do in Paris, and it deals a lot with something you probably haven't come across, the Republican calendar of Fabre d'Églantine. During the Revolution, they decided to rewrite the calendar, rename all of the months, and rename all of the days of the year, and I find that fascinating.
Tell me more about how weather affects it all.
Oh, well, the fact that we're here inside in a cosy space during the winter, whereas normally if it was in the summer we'd be sitting outside, we'd be using the river in totally different ways, we'd be on one of the bateaux mouches, we'd be hanging out in different places down there. When the weather gets cold we come in, and there's another culture here waiting for us. In Australia, as you know, there is just one size fits all. You have to fit in with the way everything is done. Here, it's bespoke. It's off the peg. You can have it made to your dimensions. I mean, we're living in our own private Paris, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. Here, right? The timer's about to go off, which means time for the quickfire round, which anyone who has no idea about this show, every time at the very end of the episode we do 5 quick questions. You're not allowed to think about it. Last time I did it with John, because he's been on the show before, if anyone hasn't listened to that one. You broke all the rules and you answered. You spoke for very long.
You don't like that, I know.
No. So you have to keep it short.
I'll do my
Otherwise
best.
I'll get to the next one. The other thing is I don't know these questions. They just come, they kind of flow. The whole point is that we're both off guard. So, recommend me a place in Montparnasse that no one really knows about.
Il Barone, it's a small Italian restaurant off the main track, has a tremendous antipasto.
Wow, that was so quick, I didn't have time to... Okay, did I ask you already your favourite character from the book?
The favourite character, my favourite character from the book, probably John Glasgow, who was a Canadian who lived here, worked as a gigolo and writer, went home, got tuberculosis, went into a hospital and thought, I think I'll write a memoir of my time in Paris. 30 years later, it's one of the most vivid books about Paris, about Montparnasse.
Okay, speaking of books, can you recommend me a book about Paris that's not written by you?
Cruel. One book that I think deserves to be more read is Zelda Fitzgerald's one book, which is called Save Me the Waltz. She wrote it in between spells of her paranoia and everything. It's flawed, but it's extraordinarily vivid.
Okay, now let's go into my territory, the right bank. Do you go to the right bank very much?
I've heard of it.
Yeah. So can you recommend me something in the right bank?
On the right bank.
I said in the right bank, on the right bank.
Yeah. Actually somewhere where I would go. I really like, I don't suppose you go to Maxim's very much. You don't move in those circles.
Don't judge me.
But they have an extraordinary, the food is overpriced, but upstairs they have a wonderful Art Nouveau museum, which is truly extraordinary. They've saved all of these furnishings and so on from the Belle Epoque. It takes you back to that time.
Great. And one.
I'm too quick.
You're
quick on the draw.
Okay, tell me one thing that you're looking forward to in Paris.
One thing I'm looking forward to. That's difficult because every day is a surprise. I suppose the first snow. I think that's remarkable.
It doesn't snow every year.
No, but in February it does, and then if you go into the Luxembourg, it goes to black and white. It looks like a photograph by Kertész or Cartier-Bresson, and it's absolutely magic.
John Baxter, I think I can ask for a round of applause from the audience. Thank you to all 100 of you for... But John is we're going to set him up now just before the next story comes along. We're going to set John up. He's selling the books. 15 euros, am I right?
15 euros each.
15 euros over there.
Signed. Remember, Christmas is coming.
Salesman as well. So we're just going to finish off the episode. John, go and set yourself up over there. Thanks very much for coming on. Now I'm going to do another raffle. I said this was different. Before we get Corey on, I'm going to pull out... I don't think Tom is here, is he?
No.
Doesn't matter. We're still going to give away brunch for two at Koutoum Cafe, which I've mentioned on the show many times. Someone's excited over there, and the winner. Oh, you're going. The winner is Fabien Renault.
No way.
You can sit for 1 minute. You can sit. He won.
Thanks very much. Thanks everyone. It's a great pleasure to be here.
Seeming Tom's not here, I can promise you that it is an actual. You can redeem that for a brunch.
That's amazing. You even spelled my surname correctly.
There you go. Anyway, that'll do. Thanks, Fabien. Now, I promised I'd keep it like a real episode, and a real episode would finish with a story from Corey. We have Corey Frye, the tour guide here. Come on, Corey.
Hi, everybody.
So I've told Corey hi to the people back home as well. Corey?
Hi, back home.
Yeah.
How are you?
I told Corey we're going to do it exactly like as if it was a regular episode.
Yes.
So that's what it's going to sound like for everybody. Corey?
I imagine some, because a lot of people haven't seen me before, and I'm wondering if you think I look like my voice or not at all.
That's going to be tough to answer in crowd form.
No, I'm just curious anyway.
I think.
As long as you say I'm slightly more attractive than my voice sounds.
Yeah. So Corey, did you see Baxter on your way into the stage?
Yeah, I saw Baxter coming up the stairs into the studio.
First time you met him? You're a big fan of his.
I love John Baxter. Yeah, when I was starting out as a tour guide, I had all of his books and I was studying the city. Very inspiring.
I've asked you to come for a story and to connect it somehow.
Yes.
As I do every week.
That's what we do.
Every single week of season 2 you've been on the show.
Yes, thank you for that.
Some tenuous connections to the guests.
Yes. So he put the challenge to me to always have some sort of link, in a way, to the guest. So today I was thinking, well, do I want to tell a story about Montparnasse? Because there's no way I know it as good as John Baxter. So I decided to link it to where we are right now. We're just steps from Notre Dame.
It feels weird you talking to the crowd and not to me.
Yeah, but they're like, I want to give them some love.
Okay,
You know?
Go on then, tell the people the story. But I'm going to interrupt you as I usually do.
As you do. So I want to give you a personal story, and maybe at the end of the story I can convince you in the supernatural. Because something happened to me personally, and it's linked to Notre Dame, which we're just a few steps away from. So, I give tours a lot, and do we have any Harry Potter fans at all in here by any chance? Yeah, don't be shy. Well,
There's one.
the first book, this is a tenuous link, but the first book of Harry Potter was called Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. And the Philosopher's Stone is this ancient legend that dates back to ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia. And long story short, if you create something called the Philosopher's Stone by mixing together all these elements in a certain recipe, you can get two things. You can transform any metal into gold, which is useful, and you can have an elixir for immortality, for everlasting life. So there was a famous
There's not much interrupting in this one.
Yeah, because you're so riveted.
Yeah, okay, come on.
So there was a famous alchemist who was thought to have created the Philosopher's Stone here in Paris, and his name was Nicolas Flamel. And he lived not too far on the other side of La Tour Saint-Jacques, and he became very rich in the 13th, 14th century, and people were curious, and he said, it's simple, I created the Philosopher's Stone, and I'm creating gold in my basement, right
You know
out
what?
of metal.
J.K. Rowling says the same thing today.
Does she? She's
I
got the
created
secret
the
of
Philosopher's
stone.
Stone and I made gold out of it.
She
Right.
has made gold out of it, let me tell you. So basically he dies with the secret of the Philosopher's Stone, if in fact he actually had created it. People were obsessed by going into his basement and rummaging through his laboratory looking for the secret recipe of this stone. So before he died, they say that he was involved in decorating some facades of the buildings of Paris, and that he actually slipped in secrets of the ancient alchemists and the Philosopher's Stone recipe. So if you go on certain facades, i.e. Notre Dame, you can decipher the code and figure out how to become immortal. And if he did pull it off, then he's still walking the streets today. So, to finish up the story, I'm giving a tour late one night in front of Notre Dame, and we're finishing up with my group. I tell the story of the alchemist symbols, at least everything I know. And then as I'm saying goodbye to my group, there's this very well-dressed older French gentleman, and he ushers me over. And he's like, hey, do you speak French? I'm like, yeah, I do. And he's like, listen, I heard you talking about that. It sounds like you're interested in it, but let me tell you something that a lot of people don't know. And he pointed out one of the little details, and he says, that's the keystone. If you decipher that, then all of the rest of the facade of Notre Dame opens up to you. And he's like, he pointed out all these details. I said, thank you, sir. And then I turned to my clients to say goodbye, and I swear to God, I swear to all of you, I swear to all of you back home, he vanished. He's gone. And I swear it was Nicolas Flamel, immortal, for the last 700 years. came to visit me and give me some keys as far as the facade of Notre Dame.
Good story.
So that's my story today.
Thanks to Corey for the story. So, if you've never heard of Corey Frye before, you obviously haven't been listening to the show. But he's a French fry in Paris?
Yeah, so my last name's Frye, F-R-Y-E. It's a pun, a French fry in Paris. I have a blog, Instagram, Facebook, and all that good stuff. I give tours, I'm a blogger, and you guys can find me, a French fry in Paris.
Come and talk to him. He's got business cards. He'll give them out. Do a tour with this guy.
Absolutely, and speaking of tours...
Yes?
No?
I forgot.
Is there a giveaway?
Oh, yeah. I was
Someone's got to run this show.
Speaking of tours, let's do that bit again. Come on.
Let's do it again.
Speaking of, go on. Set me up. I'm ready.
Okay.
We can edit it out. At least
Okay.
the people back
We're
home
going
will
to edit it out. Okay.
Yeah.
We never edit. All of a sudden we're
that's
editing.
true. We very rarely do.
Okay, so yes, I give tours all throughout Paris. You can contact me for a tour. And
Hey, Corey.
yes, Oliver.
Speaking of tours,
Yes, speaking of tours.
you have very generously agreed to give away a tour for 2 to someone in this room, or maybe listening. You're out. I took your name out, Fabin. So,
Come on, I love that beard. I want to see that beard.
come on, let's do it.
All right. There we go. One name, huh?
Just one.
I have Nafisa Dodi.
That's someone that's not in the room again.
Okay.
To be fair, these are people who have also bought tickets and donated.
I would
so.
love to meet Nafisa.
Yeah, so she's gonna. So if you're listening, Nafisa.
Yes, Nafisa. That's just for you. That's just for you.
So yeah.
You know what? Bring that back out. I'm going to do one more. We're going to do another one, and hopefully we're going to catch somebody here.
All right, the magic of the live episode. Come on.
Come on. Please be here. Please be here. Please be here. Oh,
Please be me.
sorry, one of you fell on the floor, and the other one is Catherine Watt.
She's not here either.
No!
You know,
Rachel!
we just keep going. Keep going.
Okay, but she's going to hear it, and she's going to...
Well, I'll make it worth her while. Hey, let me do it so that if I
All right,
say
you
that
do it,
someone.
you do
Oh,
She's not here either.
that's another person.
That's another...
Come on, everybody has a
faulty system, I think, that we got here. Come on. French girl in Seattle, she's not here. But you should follow her
Hang
on
on, but let
Facebook.
me just do an explanation for why so many people.
Yeah.
It's because a lot of really generous people abroad bought tickets to this show to support the show. So it's actually really nice
Can
of
we
them
give them a round of applause?
and allowed us to be able to do it.
Absolutely. I think these people are
That
probably
person's here,
Ja-
finally.
Jason Boone +1. Excellent.
Come on, come on.
Come on over. Let's meet each other.
There you go,
Nice to
Jason
meet you.
Blue.
It's awesome to meet you.
Thank you so much.
Great. Okay, so we can make that happen. All the other Americans who are pulled out will just call you to do a tour when they come over here.
Sure, I'm going to go broke giving free tours every day, but it's all good.
Okay, I think now we'll get Abby on, the host of tonight, and then we'll finish up the episode. Thanks, Corey, for being in here. Come on, Abby. Keep the clapping going for Abby. So, you've welcome back to the show.
Yes.
You've been on it. We did a live walking
I
tour,
like this
Facebook
one.
live video.
We did.
Uh,
we did. Oliver comes up one day, just shows up and was like, no one will really see it. It's absolutely fine. I was like, that's great because I haven't showered, done my hair. Then it was like, what, 4, 5, 6,000?
Yeah.
I start getting texts from everyone on Facebook that I haven't spoken to in years.
I lied.
Ex-boyfriend.
I lied.
Oh, you're looking great. My mom, you haven't dyed your hair. What's going on? And I'm like, Oliver, you did not explain that it was going to be.
But I did tell you that I gave you fair warning that 30 people would be coming here tonight, and
You did.
want to say a big thanks
That's-
for hosting.
That is true.
So I
My
just thought
pleasure.
we'd take the chance to explain where we are, so that everybody is familiar with this kind of idea, and also I just want to say thanks for hosting it.
Oh.
But perhaps you could.
Thanks for bringing some life and balloons. And
Thanks for everyone for being the life, and thanks to the balloons for being here. But Abby, tell them what Set in Paris is, so that they know.
Perfect. All right, we're kind of eclectic, so we have this space here. We do coffee shops. We do coffee shop, and then later on we do wine and charcuterie, and then we sell souvenirs. So we started this because our main activity is movie tours. So we're really kind of specialized in movie tours, which works so well with John Baxter because
That's something we didn't even touch on. That John
Yeah.
Baxter, you can see these
it's
books up here.
crazy
He's
'cause
written
he literally has Paris and movies, which are our two
film
main,
direct biographies,
main
yeah,
loves.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which you can ask him about in the book signing, of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
But is that so you do tours where you point out things that are in movies and say...
Yeah, so we do like general Paris movie tours. We do one every day that leaves from here, all in this area, kind of a huge range of movies, so big blockbuster movies, old French movies,
Coco Chanel.
TV shows, and then we do in the afternoons Coco Chanel's Paris, where you kind of explore all the places that were important to her, more about her as a person rather than the brand that followed. And then we have a really old, cool old de Chevaux. We do private tours, different themes, James Bond, Sex and the City, and engagements and things like that.
And to put you on the spot, what is the one tour that you'd recommend to everybody? What should they start with?
I think the Paris movie tour is like a good tour just to get an idea of what a movie tour is, especially a lot of French people have never heard of a movie tour, whereas in the States it's much more of a common thing to kind of see a city through films. What I really like about this tour is we started out as a movie tour, but you can't have a tour here without speaking about all the culture and history. So we kind of use movies, especially to get to like teenagers and things like that, where we talk about a film, but we'll talk about The Hunchback of Notre Dame or Marie Antoinette, and like what was real in the film, what happened in real life. So it's kind of much more than just a movie tour.
Speaking of tours, you're going to give away a tour for two.
I am.
You're probably going to give one away to... no, come on, let's go. Someone in the room.
Sean Kelly.
Sean Kelly. There you go.
I was actually really excited about the movie thing. Yeah, I'm
Great.
pretty Irish. Yeah.
That's great. Okay, well, on a closing note...
What?
I'm from Ireland?
No, I'm from the United States. Irish, you know.
Sean Kelly, it works. I love it.
Congratulations to all the winners. I'm just going to do a little roundup. Thanks everyone for coming. If you feel like taking a picture, use like a hashtag, the Earful Tower. I'd love to see what you guys take from tonight. There's beers on sale. There's over there at the bar. There's book signing just beyond it with John Baxter. And before you go on the way home, I want to show you something kind of amazing. We've made little goodie bags for everyone to take home. Now get this. There's a pun on them that I didn't make up, but I'm very proud of it. My girlfriend did it. So you've all heard of the Hunchback of Notre Dame, right? We've all heard of that. This, which contains some little snacks and homemade banana bread and stuff, this is the lunch pack of Notre Dame. So there's one of them for everybody to pick up on the way. Don't leave just yet. I want to meet you all properly. But also, I want to say, while I got the opportunity, a massive thank you to everyone who helped out today. Let's start with Dingo Mike. He's made a bunch of the food, especially the cakes. I think you should all taste it. I want to thank Carolyn for also making a bunch of the food and helping prepare. And last, I want to thank my girlfriend Lena for absolutely helping with everything and being a star. Doing the... If you want to see, you'll see there's a little gargoyle drawn on the lunch pack. She's a bit of an artist. Check her out at Parisian Postcards on Instagram. I recommend it. Check it out. But lastly, thanks to all you guys. Thanks to the guests. Thanks for coming in. Live episode. Think it worked. We'll do it.